What is up, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Incoherent Ramblings, also known as the Angery American Nation Podcast. How you doing, Sue?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
I'm good. How are you, Donnie?
I'm peachy, man.
Yeah? Awesome. What have you been up to lately, Sue?
I have been spending most of my time throwing rocks around like a caveman and trying to build an outdoor fireplace.
I thought you started on that. That's why I asked that.
Yeah, lucky for me, I can get just about every rock I want right in my backyard. So it's been an interesting project. I've got the hearth finished and going to go up with the walls of the fireplace here pretty soon.
Nice, man. That's cool. Yeah, they're telling you to polish your head there, Donnie.
Yeah, I saw that. Thanks, man.
We might need to get you a merkin for that thing.
Yeah. I got a hat. extra. Well, can't help it, man. You know, being bald's more work than having hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it grows like a weed, just not in the right spots.
Just not in the right spots. This is true. So I guess Hezbollah launched a fairly heavy strike on Israel overnight, about 180 rockets going in. Been watching that this evening. And I got, unfortunately, bad news. Our good buddy K9 Reaper will not make it here for October. The last opportunity for him to get a visa was an appointment he had today, but he got held up on an operation overnight and didn't make his meeting at the embassy. So we are out of tries now, and we're going to try to do it again next year instead. So, Sue, I'm going to be up at Troy's Gate next month, like the 28th, I think. You ought to ride over and hang out. There's going to be a bunch of North Carolina politicians there and a bunch of Florida ones. And
I'd love to be up there. That's great training. The more we can get the word out about the realism of the training, the better. I think for that product. I can't say enough about Troy's Gate. It takes all your range time and puts it into a microcosm of how you react with all your training and all your attitude and just the mood you're in at the moment. You know, it does really well. It tests you very well.
Well, like Alan Kay says, it's a pressure test. And that's your pressure testing yourself there. Seeing, how you're going to perform with all that training and stuff, because it's legit. I mean,
yeah, I haven't heard you.
Sammy Carlisle, I'll get back to you. Yeah. Go ahead, Don. Go ahead, sorry.
I haven't heard you as excited about any kind of training as you have been for that. So I can't wait to try it when I go up there.
Dude, that's a whole, as Sue can attest, that is a whole different thing. Like, I mean, if you go in there and approach it, not just, this is just training, no big deal. But if you play the scenarios out, and they're going to seem very realistic. Like it's all in your face. It's all right there at contact distance. So, does somebody live in a jungle? What the hell is that screeching? I was wondering that myself. Somebody got a bird?
Well, speaking of that Hezbollah attack in Israel, I did talk to Emery. He's sitting at the base that got attacked by Iran. He said it's pretty well destroyed. He says there's all kinds of Humvees and Humvee parts just absolutely destroyed, like 5 shipping containers just full of material that just got burned up. So,
man.
What's the proximity of that to Lebanon? Is it close? I mean, is it close enough for them to have enough time?
He's got to be within 30 or no more than 40 kilometers from the Lebanese border for them to hit it with the rockets that they have. So.
Yeah, because they didn't have time for the Iron Dome to shoot it down.
Oh, no, the Iron Dome engaged and shot the shit out of it.
The Iranian attack was clear down in the south, so he's still down south where there's no trees, kind of very desert looking and everything. He borrowed one of his family members' cars, and Funny story is that he was backing up and he put a branch through like the only tree in 40 miles through the back windshield. So now he's driving a car with a trash sack and duct tape on the back window. So,
oh my God, that is too funny. Yeah, wow. There's one tree for 100 square miles right here, and he managed to hit it.
He finds it.
Only Emery could accomplish that out in the middle of the desert. Hit a branch.
Did he jump out and grab the shit out of it?
Grab the shit out of it. Yeah. Yeah, I got a message from him the other day. I don't have my phone with me. I got one from him the other day. So it sounds like he's doing all right. Did you talk to him, or was it over an app?
No, I talked to him on Signal. So, we got a good conversation in. Byron Russell called this morning, and I tried to call him back, and he sent me a video on his new automatic version of his rifle. So very, very interesting, So I don't know why he won't answer the phone now. He must be tweaking out all the things for his, but he's pretty proud. He does a good job of putting together an AR-15. He really does.
Yeah, they're beautiful guns. I mean, he does some nice work.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I saw where New York City is starting to clear out some migrant camps off the streets because they're still fussing about what it's costing them to they're essentially a city. They're like most leftists, they're bitching when they get the bill. But the thing that bothered me the most, I caught yesterday, is Britain is commuting the sentence of like 5,000 prisoners in British prisons and letting them go so they can put people who post mean tweets in prison. But they're literally just letting other people go so they can jail these people specifically.
If it pleases the crown.
It's disturbing to me that the folks are taking that kind of shit. They're allowing that to be done to them.
I mean, they've been taking it. You can't even carry a pocket knife over there. I mean, what kind of place you live in? Like, you can't own certain kitchen knives. I mean, it's preposterous.
Yeah. They're no knives to the point, I think, is the thing. You can't have anything. But if you're a Muslim, then you can take a machete and walk around the streets of any English city screaming how you want to kill Whitey, and that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Imagine
screaming Aloha snack bar.
Yeah. Our last podcast was taken down by Facebook, so I imagine this one will be too.
Really?
Yeah.
We didn't say anything wrong. I mean,
no, but it actually told me that they don't allow people to gain likes for misleading videos. So we're guilty of wrong things. That's why they took it down.
Misleading.
But YouTube didn't. Just Facebook.
This is the place to come to get the truth.
Sometimes, yeah. Patrick Seven, like I hear you saying, and they're saying that you could be in a prison hundreds of miles away from your home. They're gonna just all over the country move these people around. And I saw on Twitter earlier today that there were 2 more guys just arrested for January 6th. Both 100% disabled combat veterans.
Really?
And then there was a SWAT raid, of course, on their house. Dragging them out in the yard. Over, trespassing on Capitol grounds. So,
did you
being at the people's house?
Barry and Big Mike were on there last night talking about, can't have Trump because he's going to weaponize the government against the people. I thought that there's a wee bit of irony in that.
That chick at the DNC, the one that kept licking her tongue really fucking weird. Did you notice that? Did you see her? She wouldn't just lick her lips. She'd go every time she started to speak.
That's how she smelled. Right.
Dude, but she's the one that got up there talking about how before the Obamas did, about how he would weaponize DOJ and use the FBI as his own police force to go after his political rivals. And I was like, yeah, you guys have established that that's how the game is played now.
See the script? You're gonna flip it.
See the script? Yeah.
You're gonna flip it.
We're gonna flip it.
Script. We'll just accuse them of what they're accusing us of. They'll believe it. Like,
Well, no, we'll just accuse them of what we're doing to them.
yeah.
You know?
Unbelievable. I mean, it really is. It's almost comical. It's not comical. It's scary, but it's almost comical that how indoctrinated these people are and how they actually believe the shit that they're putting out there. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, like any rational person should be able to look at it and go, that everything he just said, that's bullshit, right? But they don't.
You think so?
You'd think so.
So Kamala,
I think the one that gets me, guys, is this whole, I don't know if you guys are watching the DNC convention up there in Chicago. It's not worth watching, by the way. But I channel surf and go back to it and watched, Michelle Obama called Trump a racist last night,
Mike.
Barack Obama call him a racist, Trump's a racist when, the vice president that they had under their administration had, was basically took his lineage and took his internship in the Senate from, a damn Klan member, Robert Byrd, for God's sakes. But anyway, what Biden has proposed, and Obama proposed it back years ago, and they talked about the wealth tax. You guys understand what a wealth tax is, right? And in all of her running around the country, even though she won't let the press ask her follow-up questions or get any details, she's proposing this wealth tax. Right? You know what a wealth tax basically, I own this, I still pay a mortgage on my house, but let's say I just flat owned my house and it was worth $400,000. Okay. That means that every year into perpetuity for the rest of the time, because I own this house, $400,000, the tax assessor would say, okay, that house is worth $400,000. So every year you owe us, the federal government, $100,000. They're talking about 25% wealth tax. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. On unrealized
anybody that
gains
owns
too.
Private property is going to have to basically sell out and go live in an apartment like communist Russia, or what we saw in Poland, where everybody just lives in where they're supposed to, and they don't complain or anything because they're afraid that the government will come in and take 25% of it. It's crazy.
But we've got to get Ukraine some new missiles, man. You got to do your part, right?
Yeah. So that and just the whole platform, Waltz is speaking tonight. The Governor Waltz from Minnesota, he's going to speak tonight, and just everything he's done in Minnesota is pure. It's beyond progressive. It's Marxist. Yeah. It's everything. Everything he's touched is just a Marxist idea where the state has a better idea how to run your life, including your children, by the way, how to raise your children. The state of Minnesota is better at it than you are. So I, for the life of me, like Donnie was saying, he can't believe how people, believe this stuff. But I'm looking at that convention, and people are just in awe of these people, and they don't think about it past the headlines or past somebody's opinion on CNN or MSNBC. They're just like, oh, that's a great idea. Well, no, it's not. For example, this wealth tax. Let's break it down. Okay. Yeah. How much do you own? How much do you own? So even if you have your car paid off, are you going to pay 25% of its value every year? It's ridiculous.
No, I'm not. And that's the thing, is they're wanting to do this on unrealized gains. So 25% of unrealized gains. So that's what Sue's saying. If you've got assets that are worth whatever the threshold is, then they're going to make you pay a tax on that every year. And no, I'm not going to participate in that scam. And they're telling us about the taxes they're going to make us pay while we're watching them give that money away to people illegally entering our country. But we better pay up. Oh,
yeah.
You know, that's what bothers me more than anything else.
I was listening to Glenn Beck today in the car just because all it was on. Not a Glenn Beck follower necessarily, but he had some really good points. You know, one of the points of his conversation, he's like, "Who's the president? Who's running the country?" Like obviously they've acknowledged that Biden's incapable, so who's in charge? Like, and he's like, I guess if Kamala wins, God forbid, that'll be the same people in charge that was running Biden, because she's incapable of.
Well, did you see who she's talking about putting in her cabinet? All the Obama acolytes were going to go right into her administration. It's just like, really, you're gonna bring these same morons back. Rahm Emanuel, like, you know, that lot is who she's talking about putting on the
quality person right there.
So, what do you guys think about Friday? JFK's potentially going to announce that he's going to out of the race and back Trump.
I mean, I don't know how many followers he actually has. He's got some good points. I mean, he's a little out there on some things, but I definitely think it wouldn't hurt Trump's campaign to maybe swing some people that were following him in that direction.
Yeah, I disagree.
Go ahead, Sue. No, go ahead.
No, I disagree. Remember back in the 90s when I thought
Ross Perot?
I thought Ross Perot jumped in there, and he took basically about 30% of the vote away from who was that senator from Kansas? Bob Dole, World War II hero. Bob Dole. I actually had a lot of respect for Bob Dole. He was wounded with the 10th Mountain Division in World War II. Super smart guy, super conservative, and this playboy named Clinton became the president. So I think if JFK would stay in the race, it would do the same thing to the Democrat Party that Ross Perot did to the Republican Party. And I think it would, a lot of people, I shouldn't say the more liberal, but the more what's the word I'm looking for? The more libertarian, or the more old
blue blood Democrat
would vote for JFK.
The blue blood Democrat. Yeah,
the blue bloods. I think they would. They don't want any part of Kamala Harris. They know that it's socialism on a 4-lane highway is what it is.
Yeah, but see, he's saying he's worried that he may be pulling votes away from Trump, not necessarily away from Harris. So that's why he's talking of doing this. Yeah,
I mean, the 500 votes he was going to get.
Yeah, he's probably get more than that. More than that.
I don't see it. I don't think a lot of Trump supporters were even aware that JFK is still in.
Yeah, well, and maybe they aren't. But I like the idea of him taking votes away from Harris. I just don't like the idea of him taking them away from Trump. Because we got to have him in over her.
Well, and unfortunately, with the hatred that the mainstream media has towards Trump, we're not getting any substance on a platform. I mean, if they would come out and say what their platform was at this DNC at the convention up there in Chicago, people would be running away from the Democratic Party. They don't want any part about it. They wouldn't want anything to do with it. But if you watched even the highlights or the wave tops of both the Obama speeches last night, both Michelle and Barack, it's all about, we can't, it's all against Trump. We hate Trump.
Yeah.
They don't mention at all what their platform is or what their solutions are.
Somebody measured it. So yesterday, I think with all the speakers mentioned Trump 158 times, they mentioned the economy 11 times. So think about that.
Yeah. There was another thing that this survey came out the other day on media that said that the media 84% of the time reports on Harris's campaign in a favorable light, and 89% of the time they report on Trump's campaign in a negative light. So that right there tells you everything you need to know.
what's changed.
Yeah.
It's been like that for the last.
Nothing's changed, but the fact that it's so in everybody's face and it's like people can't see it. Because I'm not a huge rah-rah Trump guy. I'm not, you know. I mean, he was all right. There's a lot of stuff about him I didn't like, but we're always in that situation of we've got to pick the best of the worst, you know. So, and she's so much way worse. And to me, he's a much better choice in every facet. You know, he was at his event in North Carolina today, and somebody passed out in the stands, and he actually stopped his speech and came down off the stage and walked out there to check on him. Like, you know, as opposed to when you look at how Kamala Harris interacts with people and how Biden, you know, when he's on a stage, he don't even know which way to go. He's like a Roomba up there moving around. But, you know, Trump's at least got some class to it. Like, he stopped his thing, got out from behind the bulletproof glass they put up, and walked down to go check on him. You know, and yeah, he's a smart guy. He knew exactly what he was doing. The optics were fantastic. But the fact that he still did it, you know.
They don't even talk about him getting shot. So hear me out on this, right? He got shot. Thank God he didn't get killed. And all the momentum, and was already swinging his way, but vastly swung his way. Then a few days later, I don't think they wanted to pick Kamala. I really don't. I think that it was a knee jerk. We got to take advantage. We got to counter this. I mean, she was a laughing stock and still is, but now they're all heralding her as this great savior, you know, woman of color. And what has she done? She's going to do this. She's going to fix all these problems that they created. Like they said today on the radio, why don't you fix them now? You know, she's the most powerful woman in Washington. I mean, why not? Why wait? Fix them now. You're the vice president.
They're talking about how they're going to save the economy. You know, that's what she's running on. She's going to save the economy. Wait, it's the economy that you and your buddy created. You guys created this beast. So who are you saving us from? You know, and her idea of price controls on groceries, she's going to come out and tell companies they can't gouge. I mean, that's such a vague thing to say anyway. Well, who defines what gouging is?
Corporates
But
are
it also it ignores the fact, though, you can't set price controls on things like food. All right, so you can set it on the grocery store. Well, they don't make the product, and so their costs can go up. And all the way down the line, they fail to think of all of the costs associated with it that do go up. Even if you set a price for, let's just say, corn, all right, and corn can only be sold for this much bushel, that's the federal law. Well, the diesel fuel, electricity, labor, and all the other components that it takes to turn that into millions of products they turn it into are variable, and they're going to adjust and move up because nothing ever gets cheaper. So, you know, set the price control is a fallacy from the get-go. It doesn't work.
But where have we seen this before? We saw this, and everybody in Venezuela bought this hook, line, and sinker. 10 years ago, Venezuela was a very rich nation. Everybody was happy, but everybody said, well, you know, you're paying a little bit too much for this, and the government's going to come in and take over pharmaceuticals. They're going to take over healthcare. Where the government's going to do price controls, which is a communist idea and everything. Look where Venezuela is now. I think it's like number 4 from the bottom of the list, up from Haiti as one of the poorest nations in the world. It's horrible what they've done. And that's what they're trying to do is this complete overreach by the Harris platform, or, you know, Harris Walls platform, is basically saying we're going to war against capitalism. I mean, the government already owns 30% of the landmass of the United States. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yet I'm hearing people at that convention last night saying, "Oh, we're drilling more oil than we ever have in the history of the United States." None of it's on federal property. It's all on private property. You know, that's where the oil companies are getting their oil now, because Biden said there'll be no more drilling on federal lands, and there's there's no new permits allowed on BLM lands, national parks, you know, game lands, you know, water preserves, anything. So,
Chris, did you? I'm sorry, Sue. I didn't mean.
I'm sorry.
You're right.
You got me on my soapbox now.
Soapbox away, brother. You're the man. Chris, did you read about the Canadian railroad workers are going to strike and the ramifications from transportation of raw materials and farm stock. I mean, it's crazy, and nobody never talked about.
Yeah, it's going to impact the commodities market in a big way, and I know it's looking at because they are about to strike.
Thursday,
have to see how bad it gets. Tomorrow. Yeah, it's tomorrow. Yeah, so it's tomorrow. I think they go on strike. So that's going to shut Canada down.
On my birthday.
I love this comment right here from Janet Carson. This is awesome. Would it be great if political parties weren't allowed to talk about the other party at all? Then they'd have to actually focus on what they stand for and do their jobs. That is spot on. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really
good
point.
Would be good. And then here, where to go? Right here. I wanted to mention this. Thanks for posting it, Patrick. About the 880,000 job revision on the labor report. Did you guys see that?
Yes,
I just said this either here on one of the recent podcasts. I said this very thing. I said they always release the jobs report, and then the next month, very quietly, they always adjust it down. Well, they couldn't quietly adjust it down because it was 880,000 jobs. That destroys the employment number that they're always talking about with low employment. Because again, we know they rigged the numbers. It's just like everybody's on Twitter, and where you constantly see how everybody's like, well, crime was so much higher when Trump was in office. When Biden got in office, crime went down. Yeah, because when you stop keeping track of it, it doesn't happen, right? If you're not reporting crime statistics, then crime doesn't happen. Like China, just their official unemployment just hit like 21.3%, and they stopped reporting statistics. So that shows you our government's doing the same thing, but yet China, dictatorial communist government, we're doing the same shit they do. But we say bad things about them for doing it. Well, yeah, we're doing it here. You take all the stuff out of CPI that matters.
They've always put out bad numbers.
Yeah.
They've continually put out bad numbers, like this low crime rate. Biden's saying, well, crime rate's down. Well, that's because the FBI isn't counting most of the major cities in the United States. The top 5 major cities, Chicago, New York, Detroit, aren't even factored into that. So how can they do that? And
like gun violence, they do the same thing with firearms. I mean, the majority of shootings in this country are gang related or black on black, or not saying anything negative there, but I mean that it's just the reality of it. But they just use the big number on it, and most of these are done in gun-free zones or areas with really restrictive gun laws.
Well, look at the last economic report. The economic report, what was it? 6 weeks ago. You got most of the numbers for it, and they had to rehash them, and they had to admit, oh well, we put out bad information. They were at a convention in Vail, Colorado, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we heard from the Labor Department today. And where are the reporters reporting from? Jackson Hole, Wyoming, a huge resort town. The pure arrogance of these people not to sit in their offices, which is, pretty nice anyway in DC.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you're going to have a convention, why don't you go to a federal building or go to an army, an empty building on an army base somewhere in bumfuck Egypt, or
they got good hookers in Jackson.
Asshole North Carolina in the swamp. And hold your little meeting there. Why are you going to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and living in a 5- and 6-star hotel, and then holding your convention there to put out, oh, well, we got the numbers wrong, and we're 800,000 short of what we thought it was. So it's the arrogance is just maddening.
Absolutely. And why Jackson Hole? I mean, I know why they go there because it's freaking beautiful, and I love Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Yeah.
But Jackson Hole, the billionaires have pushed the millionaires out of town. So you got to be a billionaire and have to live in Jackson Hole.
Yes.
And so it is not a cheap place, like Sue's saying. It's extremely expensive.
My grandfather was the sheriff in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. During the Depression, it was nothing there. It was a damn logging town, and CC boys were building hiking trails up there during the Depression, making $1 a day. Now look at it. You got to be a billionaire to live there. Park City, Utah is the same way, Vail, Colorado. It's just, what are they doing? Whitefish, Montana is another example. Notice that all these resorts are right next to, and it's kind of striking to me. That's right next to Jackson Hole's in between Teton National Park, and Yellowstone. So the federal government already owns those two parks. Why are they meeting in these resorts that are right next to all this federal land?
Yeah, there's convention halls on Yellowstone. They could easily go to one of the big hotels there and do their meeting, like you said, on federal property and not have to pay for it.
Yeah, but no, they're not paying for it. You and I are.
Oh, I know that. That's why they do this shit. They're not having to sign that check. Yeah, it's freaking retarded. I'm just trying to catch up in comments. We got our buddy P. Robertucci in the house now. There we go. Yeah. It's unfortunate. But when it's a sign of a crumbling empire when they start having to change their own rules that we operate by. And as we all know, that's been happening for decades at this point. They always try to fudge numbers on everything from crime to immigration to inflation to whatever it is. But the fact is, they always lie to us about. You never get the truth. You never get the truth out of it.
Well, it goes back to it's history repeating itself. Remember, when we were actually taught history in school when we were all young, Marie Antoinette was told by the advisors that the people are rioting in the streets because they have no bread. And she's like, well, let them eat cake. It's the same arrogance. It's the same arrogance. Hey, we got no jobs and everything. Well, I'm in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I haven't got time to. Let's just put the numbers out because I gotta go back to my spa or my mud bath or whatever they're doing up there in Jackson Hole. Go back to the warm springs. Yeah, it's the pure arrogance is just it's sickening to me. And I don't understand why people don't see it for what it is.
Well, it's like
ancient. Go ahead, Don. Sorry, what?
No, it's like ancient Rome. I read or listened to several books on, like the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. And I mean, the parallels are uncanny. I know we've talked about this before. I mean, uncanny, just the erosion of society structure, the arrogance of the ruling class, because that's what they are. Let's call a spade a spade. They're poor. They take office. They leave rich. They stay in office way too long. I mean, the fact that we don't have term limits on Congress and the Senate is just preposterous. And the parallels are so similar. Rome really necessarily wasn't defeated by, they were technically defeated by the Gauls and some of the other, or the Goths, excuse me. But they deteriorated to the point that they could be overrun, and the parallels again are uncanny. It is history repeats itself if you look at it. And I know you've read books on Rome, and you know a lot about it, Chris, and I'm sure you do too. Sid. But it's really, really scary how almost textbook it is. But Rome stood for 1,000 years. We haven't been around for 300 years, so I don't know.
Yeah, and when you said talk about politicians coming into office and making themselves rich. When Trudeau was elected, he was worth $5 million. He's been in office 9 years. He's now worth $90 million.
Wow.
So, amazing. Where'd that money come from? Yeah, Nick, in though?
$1 million, $2 million to have a speech. I mean, we all know the scoop.
Yeah. It's funny. Michelle Obama was up there talking. I can't remember what she was talking about, but it was basically about the greed of others, and it was like the tweet was about, but yet Barack gets paid over $100,000 to give a speech someplace. Oh, that's not greedy,
They have like 6 mansions spread out through the country.
Yeah. Yeah. So Brian here says, don't make fun of the poor guys doing statistics. They're doing their best. It's not their fault. They didn't learn anything in college about statistics since they went to college for philosophy of interpretive dance and history.
He's not far off.
Philosophy of interpretive. No, he's not, sadly. Oh my God. They own 4 mansions. You're correct. And that's the problem. These people coming out, we all see it and we all acknowledge it. We all say, yeah, it's happening, but it's always kind of like, whatever. But it's eventually, hopefully, at some point, people are going to get sick of this shit, and maybe then something can change around here.
I don't know, man. This election is, the last one was crucial, and you see what we got from that. This one is, because if she wins, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's just, I don't know if we're going to make it through it, to be honest with you.
Again, Donnie, if we get an election, have you guys noticed? I keep on getting these alerts on my phone that, there's a new COVID strain here, or my daughter and her boyfriend, they had COVID. They live out in LA while he does his internship out there, and they had COVID just a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, where's this stuff coming from? I thought we had it beat, and there was this vaccine. That's when it finally hit home to my daughter. Second time she had COVID, I said, well, didn't you get the vaccine? She goes, yeah, I got the vaccine. I says, well, then they mistermed. They used the wrong word when they called it a vaccine, because when you give a vaccine, it's supposed to prevent people from getting a disease that causes a pandemic or a communicable disease. That's what a vaccine's for. So just by the definition of vaccine, that jab that everybody took was not a vaccine. But
they had to change the definition of that too. They had to change the definition of vaccine to make it fit.
Remember? Yeah. And they changed that, but that's my point. Before I went down the rabbit hole of COVID again, we could talk all night about that. But so they're saying that's coming up. I had some warnings from some mutual friends here that there's the power companies are getting ready. They're stockpiling diesel and everything for their generators, because they say that the electricity is going to get turned off, or there's possible brownout and blackouts going to happen, and they're all talking end of October, 1st of November. And I said, well, isn't that convenient? When do most of Americans, especially most conservative Americans, when do they vote?
On election day.
Election day should be a national holiday. Everybody should get the day off.
Yeah.
It should be all paper ballots. There should be absolutely no mail-in ballots or voting early. It should just be a ballot, and it should be counted. Not through a machine. It'd be counted by a human that just sits there and counts.
I agree. I mean, they're desperately trying to block that.
Even France does that. France does that.
Yeah. What's funny is you weren't allowed into the DNC without an ID. You had to present an ID to get in the DNC.
Right. But yeah, Arizona wants people to prove their citizenship.
Yeah, Mindy here said it was Michelle's speech about how her mom didn't trust those who took too much, and you look at what her family's done, what they do. Yeah. I'm trying to catch up on these. I want to mention this up here because Pat posted. Do you guys hear about the FCC rule coming down on GMRS radio? Are you familiar with that at all? Saying that you can't link the repeaters to each other via the internet anymore. But again, what I like to remind people of, this is an FCC rule change, and they can't make rules like that, just like the ATF can't wake up one morning and decide a bump stock is illegal. So I'm sure this is going to be headed to the courts, but it makes you kind of scratch your head about why they're suddenly worried about GMRS radio.
I mean, did SCOTUS shoot down that long-standing case law where that allowed these agencies to make decisions? I think SCOTUS shot that down. I forget what they call it. Was it Chevron, or I think it was a Chevron?
Oh yeah, the Chevron thing. That's different though. That's different. They can't rule through regulation. They have to, or they can't govern through regulation. They have to govern through legislation. And the ATF's notorious for overreach in that regard by, just at their own whim deciding what isn't legal. It can't be illegal today, but illegal tomorrow. It don't work that way. Just because someone decided so. Yeah, Chevron defense. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting. North Georgia GMRS Network sent an email. Okay, yeah. And GMRS license cost has gone down to from 70 to 35, I believe. All right. So, but that's just something to keep in mind, oh yeah, thanks for that, Russ. Let's we're gonna take a quick break, y'all. We'll be right back. We're gonna talk do some spots tonight. We don't normally do those, but one of these I want to run for sure. And the other one is just a reminder. So let's go ahead and roll that there, Russ, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about something else real quick.
Hey folks, this is T, and this is Mountain Readiness.
It doesn't matter what the event is that makes this thing go pop. It's going to be water, shelter, fire, food, security. That's it. That's what you need in a nutshell.
I know that said 2023, y'all, but it's coming up again this October. So that's why I want to put that out there. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet,
aren't they? The dates
are a little different, yeah, just slightly. Yeah. I think it's the same actually. 18 to it's right there at the bottom of the screen. So
working.
Yeah, let me see. And so I put it out on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere today, but if you didn't catch, the Dalton is up for pre-order right now. So we're still a couple weeks out before I actually take delivery of those, but the pre-order's up and you can start ordering them now. There were 30 blades. I saw one's been ordered. I don't know if any more have because I don't just sit around and watch that kind of shit.
They're going to go quick.
But they're going to go quick. So if you want one, get them ordered. And as soon as they come in, I will be shipping them out. So the box looks cool. Like we did some neat stuff with it. I think you guys are really going to dig it. I love the scales on this thing. And it was a great idea that T came up with. But jump in and get you one. We'll see how fast we go. I'll do another word.
$200. Alan K will cook some snails and send them with the knife. Maybe bleed
banana slugs.
It'll
be banana slugs. Yes, banana slugs. Or the limpet, because he has the whole limpet song. Zig in Alaska. What's up, man? Yes, we will ship to Alaska, Zig.
Be a
Absolutely.
Great Alaska.
Yeah, that thing would be sweet up there. Let me see. Just catch some comments. There ain't a whole lot going on today. I noticed. I was watching things, but I was sitting at my desk working. But today was a rather quiet day, which is kind of nice, except for I don't know. Are you guys tracking the Ukrainian invasion into Kursk, Russia?
Yep.
Following that at all? All right. Are you following the fallout from that as far as what's the pressure being put on Putin now?
Yeah, they're really rattling the nuclear sabers again on that.
Well,
because they're making progress. Well, I understand, but still, any talk of that is scary. But they're taking it to them pretty hard up there. The Ukrainians, I'll give them that. There's some tough son of a bitches.
45 attack drones were shot down around the Moscow city limits today alone.
Yeah,
45 Ukrainian drones. So. Everything that you see Hamas doing to Jerusalem, Ukraine's trying to do to Moscow. So,
yeah.
It's a drone world we live in now.
Yeah.
Well, it's also it forced. So there's been riots at military bases. Putin sent 3 generals off to the Ukrainian front to be sacrificed on the altar of meat assaults, and that caused a bit of a rebellion inside the armed forces, and there were riots inside military bases and stuff that actually caused Putin to have to flee Moscow because he was so.
Did not hear that.
Yes, yeah, things are not good for the Russians right now. And then let's take a quick peek at China. They're having the same thing. They just had to send the military to surround basically the village where officers live in one of the cities because the people were getting a little rowdy over there in China. It's happening more and more and more. Substantial riots and protests and stuff like that are taking place, and it's getting a little hot for them. So it's interesting watching those two, because most people aren't tracking, like especially China. Their economy is in free fall. Like they stopped posting foreign investment inflows and outflows. They don't post that data no more, because capital flight is happening in China right now on an epic scale. Everybody's fleeing China. Their housing market is completely collapsed, and there's 3,500 cities. We always hear about the ghost cities, and they built those because that's how the government was inflating the GDP, which was commercial real estate in general, was 30% of China's GDP. So they were building all these projects to say that they'd sold this land, make it look good for their numbers, but there are never any customers for them, no potential buyers. And so there's like 3,500 empty cities scattered across Japan right now, just sitting there, deteriorating.
Yeah, that topic was brought up 10 years ago. China was they were the number one users of concrete in the world. They were pouring concrete everywhere and building these huge cities and they had this urban sprawl going on. But and you think China would have the people to put into these cities. Well, they don't. They're like, who's going to live there? I mean, their birth rate has been lower than their death rate for 40 years now. And who are they going to put there? So they built all these geopolitical analysts were skeptical on the whole thing. Back, this is clear back in 2012 and 2013. They were like, what are these guys doing over there? But it was to up the numbers and to put everybody to work and increase the GDP and say, yeah, our economy's booming, but it was for a population that didn't need it.
Well, Peter Zeihan, Good, Better, and Different, has been writing for years about this birth rate is really going to cripple China, and I think we're starting to get into that point where you're going to see that as the population ages, they don't have enough military age people, men in particular, to fill all the roles of labor and stuff.
Oh, we're already there. United States is already there. 65% of the people in the United States are over age 55. What does that tell you? How many? 65% of our population is over the age of 55. So, wow. And my birthday's next week. I'll be 61. So, I'm supposed to go on Social Security in 4 years. I'm supposed to get a little bit of Social Security, but I don't think there's going to be anything left with all these immigrants coming in and sucking it all down. Nobody putting it back in. And then our death rate is basically higher than our birth rate, thanks to the, all the liberals out there falling on their swords about abortions and, we don't have to, men should be women and all this kind of crap. I mean, our culture, like you were talking about Rome, that's exactly what happened to Rome. They just lost their entire focus on their culture. And when your culture gets like that, it's only a matter of time before, you're going to collapse, because you don't have enough people coming into your society. And maybe that's their solution, by opening the borders and bringing in these
it is
12 million undocumented people. That's still not going to help, in my opinion.
That has been the solution, is letting the immigrants in, because the native population isn't sustaining a birth rate high enough to maintain the population levels. But then they allow immigrants in whose sole objective is to come in and replace the native population. Like they say in the UK, this is our land now. And that's the problem with opening up immigration like they've done. Europe's so screwed in general. All of them are. They're all in a world of shit. I want to answer a couple of quick questions here. Zig, every Wednesday, dude. The show goes on every Wednesday, and then Patreon's on every other Tuesday. So, and let's see. I know, what were you going to say, Donnie? Sorry, I'm just catching up here.
No, I hear it. Somebody got a bird in the background.
Someone's got something screeching somewhere. It ain't me.
Yeah.
You got a critter howling in the background sometimes there, Sue?
Yeah, but I keep on muting my mic. I got a parrot in the other room.
Oh, I thought it was a bird.
It is a parrot. Cool. I thought it was a parrot. All right. That's fine. It doesn't bother me none. I don't give a fuck.
It's fixing a big chicken stew if it keeps it up.
Yeah.
Parrot stew.
Hey, Brian, freeze-dried food, bro. Not cans, but freeze-dried. That's the answer to your problem right there. Weak men create hard times. Yeah, it's just, I'm watching the entire globe at the moment is, the stuff going on in Myanmar. The thing people aren't following, everybody's worried about our election and looking domestically, but there's a lot of shit brewing around the country between China and Vietnam and the Philippines and China, and then the Philippines and Vietnam against China, Japan, and they're also in trouble. Their economy's in a world of shit right now too. So it's not just us, y'all. It's global. I saw a thing today that said that we may be officially in a recession. They're not going to say that, but we hit all the marks to meet the definition of a recession currently.
Hey, Brian, talking about food, I just posted a video that we did a few years ago. You might want to look at on the food storage thing.
What'd you say? I didn't catch that.
I just posted that video I did with Carl on food storage. He was talking about food.
Yeah.
Might give him a, which I'm planning on teaching a food storage class up at Mountain Readiness.
Hey, there you go. Mountain Readiness will be a good time. Y'all need to come out.
I took Donnie's class back at the Patreon course, so he's the reason I got like 600 pounds of 5-gallon buckets stored all over the damn place.
Hey, you won't go hungry.
For that, Donnie. But for those of you who don't know, just a shout out to everybody that was considering it. But the Patreon course for tactical riflemen has been canceled for October. Just things. Money's tight for everybody. And there was only a few people already signed up, and Carl needed a down payment on Butler State Park up there in Kentucky, and the numbers just didn't add up. We're trying to what do you call that? That Common Core math, and it just the numbers.
But when he brings it back, let me just tell you, you'll never have a better few days in your life than and not just the training's world class. I mean, Sue, that man tracking thing just still resonates in my brain that you did. Defensive driving, shooting out of helicopters. I mean, it varies every year, but you should join Carl's Patreon, and you just get access to some great stuff. But the camaraderie, the brother and sisterhood, the people there, he does it first class. You know it, Chris. I mean, it's great event.
Carl, as you just said, he's always first class. Everything he does. I mean, go kayaking with him over the 4th of July. You'll have a great time.
You'll have a great time. If you don't hit your head on the
blast. If you don't smack your head on the roof of a cave,
Get in a cave with Emery. That's always fun.
Yeah. Okay, here. I'm gonna leave that for the moment. Might be a friend of yours. Anyway, Sue, what do you want to leave everybody with tonight, man?
Again, I just want to say, don't panic. There's so much disinformation and everybody, when you're talking about the mass media, they want you to be looking over here or looking over there at this, or, like the DNC is, they don't say what their real platform is. It's a whole convention against Trump. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it, and just be ready. Get around your family and let them know that hard times are coming, but we can get through it. It's going to get worse before it gets better, but we can get through it.
Yeah, it's surreal to be watching campaigns that are based solely on here's why you don't want to vote for the other guy, and nothing about why you want to vote for us. Not nothing. Donnie, what you got, man?
Man, I'm considering a job in Nashville, so I've
really
been kind of reaching out. Yeah, that same guys thinking about. Yeah, so I don't really necessarily want to move, but I do like Nashville. I like that. I like Tennessee.
Oh yeah, Tennessee's not bad. I mean, if you gotta leave Florida, Tennessee's not a bad place to
go. Yeah, just life stuff, trying to figure all that out. What I'm gonna do. I hate leaving my tribe, but if I can make a couple $100,000 a year, man, hard to say no to that. So, and I do love that part of the country, and I've got friends up there, so which is cool. And orders a glass of milk. Who's Paul Peters?
Is he a friend of yours?
I have no idea, dude.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he just got the schwack, so don't worry about it.
Oh.
I was getting ready to, but I thought it might be one of your buddies. For all I know, you know, some weird.
That Paul dude is freaking me out. I bet he goes to the bar and orders a glass of milk.
Yeah.
Never ordered a glass of milk at a bar. He doesn't.
Oh yeah.
You're fucking with, do you?
Right.
Listen.
Just take it all in and come up with your own answers. No one's going to provide them for you. You're going to have to sit through this shit yourself. So,
yeah, like we've been talking about, we got to come together. You got to have your network of friends. You need to train. You need to take some steps. Don't go crazy. Don't freak out. It is what it is. But, form a tribe. And we preach that. We talk about it. And we live it. We live it. We're going to go to Chris's in a few weeks and just spend some time. I've got some new people I've vetted out that we're going to take there, and you just have that break bread, hope that Chris makes biscuits and gravy. That's kind of man.
That can always happen. That is my specialty there. But I do got that Blackstone sitting in the kitchen now. That's what I cook on when I'm cooking in there is the Blackstone. So
oh yeah.
But anyway, that's it for tonight, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week. I might have it might just be me next week, guys. I might have another writer on to talk with. Let's give you guys a break and have him on. So I'll let you know that nothing's set in stone. I got to see what the schedule looks like.
Right on.
So and like Mel says, we are the tribe your mother warned you about. You guys know the drill. Be good at it. We'll catch you next time.
Love all you guys.
All right.